Welcome back, guys. Before we get started, I want to say first off, thank you for watching this episode. Thank you again for sharing it. If you haven't already, please share it with your friends and family and send it out in your community. Thank you again for all the support. Before we get into this episode, I do want to invite everybody to Friends Day at Life Church, which is the church that I attend. Friends Day, it's a great day to, if you're just by yourself, come and visit, hang out with us, say hey, attend the service. But bring a friend with you, bring a group. I know I have a lot of family that's going to come to it, so definitely make a trip down this Life Church that is located in 1051 Claypool Hill Mall Road, Cedar Bluff, Virginia 24609. And I think that when they say Friends Day, I thought, you know, I have a few friends I can ask, but why not ask all you guys? We're blessed with the opportunity to have a lot of ears that are listening to us, so yeah, again, Friends Day at Life Church, September 22nd, 10:30 a.m., which is the time they have their service every Sunday. So make a trip out there and say hey. Second off, sponsors. So, sponsorship. We are interested in finding some sponsors, the local businesses in Southwest Virginia. We are located right in between Russell County, Tazewell County, and Buchanan County. But I mean, anybody Southwest Virginia, we're open to listen to what you have to offer, but we would like to have some sponsors, possibly more than one, to sponsor the episode. So yeah, just get in contact with me or Jay Moore on Facebook or Instagram or X or the Porch Talk page. But that is all for the announcements at the beginning. You'll be hearing from me throughout the episode, time from time, to give you some more. But without further ado, here we go. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Porch Talk. This is episode 29. Uh, we're lucky to have two great players from Southwest Virginia here with us. We got Lebanon's quarterback and wide receiver, Michael Reece and Toby Baker. We'll go ahead and start here. We'll in your childhood. We'll go ahead and shoot it to Michael first. Just when did you fall in love with the sport, Michael?
Ever since I've been little, I've always been playing football, whether it's throwing with dad in the yard or just watching it on TV. And ever since probably I'd say 4 years old, I just fell in love with it, and it's been a thing I've loved to play ever since.
Yeah, same question to you, Toby.
Yeah, man. I mean, I've loved football since I was little, and I grew up throwing with my brother a lot. He was a quarterback in high school at Richlands. And man, it's just been my favorite sport. I've had the love for the sport since I was little, and thrown with Mike since I was little too. And I've also always loved football, growing up watching it.
Your brother, is that Gray?
Yes, sir.
Gray. Okay, I didn't know that. We had Brady Hess on. I think that
Oh,
he played with
really?
Gray.
Brady.
Yeah, we had him on for about a whole hour. Yeah, he can definitely tell a story.
Oh, he can. Oh, yeah. Brady's a character, man.
Go ahead, Mar.
Congratulations to both of you first. Big win Friday or Thursday. Um, we'll go. Cameron went back that far. I'm going to skip ahead a little bit, but I'm assuming y'all played together all throughout coming up. It's always been a rivalry with Honaker, for Lebanon. I call it a bounce back game, but I mean, it's always a big game for you all, regardless of the year before with them. So, just what was that feeling like getting that back? Turning the tables from last year.
It felt, yeah, I got you. It felt great. Just, I mean, last year things did not end up going how we wanted. And I mean, it just felt great to bring the coal back to Lebanon and just to execute the way we did. And it was just a great game overall. Everyone played great from start to finish. Defense was doing their thing. Offense took us slowly to get started, but I mean, once we got rolling, there was no looking back.
Yeah, man. Honaker, they've been a rivalry for sure for a while, but I think there's been a lot of talk that, we're one and done, like we're too focused on Honaker. I mean, we're just looking forward to the rest of the season for sure, and I'm excited to see. Hopefully, we can use that momentum to carry over into the season, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, and I think that I mean just the way you all came out from beginning to end, high energy, and I think that Coach Norris kind of spoke on that a little bit when he was with us,
For
and
sure.
I've been near y'all's practices because I'm with the league over there. My stepson's playing, so I get to hear you guys over there, and there's always a lot of energy. So I guess I kind of want to ask a little bit, and I don't know if this is backtracking, but uh, Coach Norris talked about the culture. You know, everything that he's doing there, or you guys are doing there to change it and make it a bit more of like a family oriented thing. So I just want to ask both of you about Coach Norris and the culture that he's bringing.
The culture that Coach Norris has brought, I think it's been the best thing to happen to Lebanon football ever since I've been here. I mean, from his first day getting the job till now, it's preaching the same thing. I mean, we're in it together no matter what throughout it all. And I think just bringing that culture to us, it's really brought our whole team together. I think you could see that from the game. I mean, our energy's up. We're all pushing each other to be better. And I think Coach Norris, his culture has really brought us all just bought into the game, and we've came together. And I can't wait to see how it unfolds this year.
Yeah, if I had to describe it in one word, it'd definitely be energy. I mean, yeah, since day one, he's came in here and he's really set a tone, and we can just tell. I mean, he means business really, and practices are ran super well. I mean, they're almost just like college, just the way he runs them, and you can tell he's experienced. I mean, he played at Emory, so he knows how it goes. And I mean, yeah, we love him to death, and he's going to guide us to a lot of wins, what we're looking forward to. So.
Uh, this question can be for both of you. Any pressure coming up? I mean, both of you all have had hype around your name coming up and players to watch. Do you all feel any of that coming in? I guess with the way social media is these days, it's not like when I was playing. If you were good, not as many people knew about it, and you didn't know about them knowing it. They wouldn't like build up. You all are out there. Everybody sees everything. Everybody talks about everything. Do y'all feel any of that pressure? Or is it just part of it growing up in it?
I tend not to really get into all that pressure stuff, but I don't think there's any pressure. I think as long as we just do our job, and great things will come with doing that, just preparing extra for the moment. And I think we've handled it really well, especially Toby, me and him. I mean, we've been playing ever since we were young, and everyone's always talked about us. I mean, I think we've handled it really well, and I don't feel like we have any pressure towards us.
Yeah, I mean, you see stuff on paper and on social media, and I don't know. I've just kind of learned to brush it off. I mean, it is what it is, and especially once you get into the game. I mean, after that first play, it's like your head clears. I mean, that's what I've always loved about football is like I play baseball too, and I mean, baseball you're thinking about last at bat, last play, whatever for the whole game really, and with football, man, it just clears out, and just once the lights turn on, you're into it. So.
And I wanted to talk about a few things from the Coal Bowl, some things that I noticed, and I think Jim Moore knows as well. The first thing I want to talk about was your leadership, Reece. Not on your sideline at the fence, so we got to hear a lot of the stuff going on as far as you out there kind of guiding them. And I know several times things almost you I don't want to say got too physical out there, but there's some things that got pretty wild, and I saw you there kind of reeling everybody back in, helping everybody keep their composure. So I wanted to ask you, just over the years of being the starting quarterback there, how you've grown in your leadership, and then after that, Toby, just Michael as a leader for your team.
Yeah, my freshman year, we had a lot of seniors, so it was really hard for me to get like in that leader role. And then I just did my best to manage the team as best as I can. And then last year is when it really started. And I was one of the main guys that really held the team. And this year, I've accepted it, and I love all my teammates. I mean, just growing into this offense and playing multiple years with everyone, I think it's a whole lot easier to be the leader for them. But yeah, it got Honecker got a little physical at times. I mean, it's the Cold Bowl, So a lot of things happen, but yeah, just keeping all them calm. We play better when we're calm. When we get all trash talking and all that, we play horrible. I play horrible at least when I start trash talking. But yeah, just keeping them calm, keeping them collected, and then we done that, and we came out with the W. So just the main goal is to keep all them calm. Especially it really did get physical at times, but that's just the nature of the game. So
Yeah, I think a lot of it stems from us as a group. I feel like I've been around a lot of the guys since I was little. And I mean, around Mike for sure. So I think that helps with his leadership, and everybody has their trust in him. I mean, even Coach Norris trusts in him. So everyone looks to Mike as a leader. I mean, as a quarterback, you got to be a leader. I think Mike excels in that role. So, yeah.
This may be a question you can answer. Like, you could probably answer. I don't think your all's opponents for the year are going to watch our podcast and figure anything out. But if it's something you'd rather not answer, that's fine. But my dad was at the game with me, and we were talking, and Cameron may even know the answer to this in the air raid. I'm assuming you don't get a lot of called runs, or even scrambling. It seems like you're more like a Mahomes, where you're still looking to throw first all the time. We were both looking at each other. If I was as athletic as you are, I'd take off all the time. What is it? What's the fine line there between scrambling, tucking it, and going, keeping your head downfield? Is it a system thing? Is it strategy?
I've gotten in trouble in years past. I tend to look to pass a whole lot more when I'm on the run than running. I've gotten in trouble a lot of times for that. But yeah, this year more than ever, we've really buckled down on me trying to hold it. If I can go and run, go and run. But if I can go make a play in the pass, he tells me to go make a play in the pass. But yes, I have gotten in a lot of trouble for I like to hold on to the ball a little bit too long sometimes instead of just checking it down and running. But it's more of just a feel in the game type thing and just seeing what the defense is doing. And then if they're going to give me the run, I'm going to take 10 yards every time. So
Yeah. My dad, he'll be 64 this year. It cracked me up. He just kept asking. He's like, "Why don't you just take off and run with it?" I was like, I don't think it's that simple. Like, he can just do it whenever." But yeah, I told him I would ask, and because I mean, obviously the athleticism is there. So I mean, I know it's part of it. Like, you want to do the right play, but me and him both agreed to have that ability. It would be hard not to just go with it. But that was a great answer.
I want to talk a little bit. Yeah, something else I noticed here in the game me and Jamore talked about. Toby, was your route running. I know that I think it showed you only had like 3 catches, but I felt like you had a lot more.
Yeah.
And I think that you was probably open, probably enough to have a little more than that. But I think at least I did. I watched you and Avery about every single play because I think you all were two of the premier athletes on the field, and I thought it was a great matchup. I thought your route running was a lot different than a lot of people I've seen in this area. And so I wanted to ask you just what are some resources that you've used, just kind of learning, do you have a coach or something that you use, or is it YouTube videos? I mean, or is it just somebody local that's kind of helped you along that way? And then after him, Michael, just having a receiver like that to throw to.
I mean, I would say it's a mixture of a lot of things. I went to a few camps this summer and getting to be around a lot of just like good college coaches that can explain stuff. I mean, usually the first part of most camps is after you stretch warm up, receivers are doing route running, just like routes on air and stuff like that. So I learned a lot from that. And I know going into the Cold Bowl, I expected Avery to be on me the whole game, pressing most of the game. So press release was a lot of stuff. We worked on this summer, especially Mike's dad. He's actually our receiver coach, and yeah, Coach Reece, man, he's really done his research on like press release drills and then just like route running drills. So I mean, I've learned stuff from him, which I mean, he used to be a lineman in high school, so something I didn't really expect to getting into the summer, but yeah, he's shown me a lot. And yeah, really, YouTube, dude, there's been a lot of stuff on YouTube I've searched up. So whenever I have any questions, you can go. I love watching Keenan Allen. That's one thing I'll say. Keenan Allen, he's one of the best route runners in the league, if not the best. And he's so old now, doing it, still one of the best in the league. And I love watching him and just the way he can get out of a route. I mean, it's still super impressive to me. So yeah, it's a mixture of a lot of those things. But
Yeah, having a receiver like Toby is probably one of the greatest compliments a quarterback can ever have. I have played with him since 8 years, 9, 10 years. I can't even remember. I mean, we've always had that connection just between me and him, and we've worked for many years on just fine tuning what routes he's going to run, how he runs it, and I think it's proven how much we've worked with each other. I mean, hard work has paid off. I mean, having a guy that can really get open against any coverage, doubled, one safety over top of him. I mean, no matter what, I always feel like Toby will get open and catch the ball no matter what. So having a receiver like that definitely helps. Puts the pressure off me a little bit, and I couldn't ask for a better receiver.
Y'all's line, I thought, both sides of the ball, but offensively in particular, played a great game. I thought that was the biggest difference in this year and last year. Felt like last year you didn't really have a chance to really set up and get going. This year it was noticeably different. You had time to pick and choose where you wanted to go. I thought that was a huge difference in the game. And if you want to talk about your lines, give them a shout out. And also your big 44. I had no idea this guy was a freshman until the day after the game.
Oh yeah.
that's what we
What do you
said.
what's this kid eat? I mean, is it just natural? Like he looks like he walked out of a fullback lab or like just a football player lab. Like, talk about them a little bit.
First of all, shout out to my offensive linemen. We got Lucas, Luke Monk, Hunter Cox, and Blaine Fry and Jesus Hernandez. Oh my gosh. Shout out to them. Couldn't ask for a better O line. I had enough time. I mean, half those sacks were on me, if I'm going to be honest. I didn't get the ball out in time. But man, there are some men up there up front, and I could be more proud handling Honaker's defensive line because, I mean, they brought the blitz all night. Their defensive line was very aggressive, and we knew that coming in. And they handled it really well. Nothing phased them. No, and I could be more proud. But speaking of big number 44, Lane Jesse, man, he's a beast. He is a beast. And yeah, I didn't realize he was a freshman. He first transferred, and then he's a freshman. He's probably the biggest guy on the team. But man, I was really impressed with how he ran and how hard he ran. And I'm very glad that he is on my team. I'm glad I don't have to go against him.
Yeah, I mean, Mike said it perfectly. Yeah, Lane, dude. I mean, he's 15. I mean, this man can run over anybody. I mean, I know tackling drills and around like 2 days and stuff, man. I'd line up against him, and I was scary times. But yeah, and then our line too. I mean, they've made a huge step from last year, and I think Mike, I'm sure, agrees. Feels a lot more comfortable back there. And I mean, you really can't get into a rhythm if your line isn't. I mean, if they're just getting blown by every play. I mean, it's just nice. I know Mike has a lot of time when I'm running those deeper routes. It's nice having it in the back of my head knowing he has the time to get it off most of the time, anyways.
Shout out to Harry Hunnell, our offensive line coach. He's had them working since as soon as our last game of the season when he got hired. I'm like, they've been working every single day, committing to blocking schemes, and I couldn't be more proud of them. And hopefully we can continue this streak throughout the season.
Yeah, and I think that this week's your first home game, right?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So I'm going to get into that game here in a second, but I do want you all both to comment on just the community over there because I know even at the Little League games I'm at, it's packed out, and I expect it to be packed out Friday night.
Oh yeah, our community. One thing is they are loud and proud every game. Whether last year you're losing a ton, they're still gonna show up and support you, and can ask for a better community. And even when I was in Little League, oh, every Saturday felt like a college football primetime game with all the fans there. So it was awesome.
Yeah, I think a lot of it starts with our youth program they got building. I mean, I remember when I was a kid, like Mike said, I mean, it was always a blast going on Saturdays. I mean, we usually play like, I don't know, around noon. I don't know what time you'll play now, and then you always go home, watch college football. So Saturdays are just like perfect. But I think a lot of that stems from the youth league and just like having a good program building up a lot of those kids coming up and the parents just watching. And yeah, and then it's also weird this year, the home side moving to the I guess it used to be the home side. Now I don't really know, like on the field house side, and it's definitely different for us because we're used to them being on the school side. So I think that plays a big part of it. Maybe it makes the crowd look bigger with the stands. I don't know, but yeah, it's an awesome environment, and they're closer to the sideline too. I almost feel like so. I mean,
Yeah,
it's a fun environment.
it's gonna be great Friday, first home game, first opportunity to really show that what we got in front of a home crowd, and I'm excited. So
I'm gonna get away from football for a second. Camera can go back to it. I just wanted to make sure I got these in. We usually do some random questions, or I do. This is for both of you. I got a couple. This will be my first one. Uh, Pre-game, what do you got in your headphones? What do you listen to? What gets you going?
well, I where I do my quarterback warm up, I go out before anyone, for any fans are there. So I get the headphones in, and I'm usually oh gosh, I Metallica, a little bit of Travis Scott, Flavor Party. I mean, I couldn't even tell you how many. I listen to everything, but mainly Metallica. Half the pre games mainly Metallica, and then the rest is just Travis Scott. So we're always bumping to something different.
Yeah, I'm kind of weird at that. I don't know. Here recently, really just this year, I haven't been listening to music pregame a lot. And when I do, it's more of like I love listening to like Drake's like old stuff, just like kind of like the calmer stuff. Like I can't bump like when I get into the locker room like before the game and I got the speaker blasting, that's when I kind of start getting hyped. Like on the bus ride over or like 2 hours before the game, I kind of just got to calm down because I don't want to get too hyped up. But yeah, just some old Drake is usually my go-to if I am listening to something. So
That kind of, I mean, in a way, kind of trends with what we heard last year from a lot of players, which some of them were going more country route, like Zach Bryan and people like that. So,
There
I
was
can
a there was a wide variety of music being played before ball games, basketball and football last year.
oh sure.
A very
I,
wide
I
variety.
I'm sure y'all
I
love that
can't.
question.
No, I can't get into no country music before no game. Yeah, that's too slow for me.
Yeah, that's a stretch.
I had one more before I go back to Cam. This kind of fits in with what we're on right now. Any superstitions or rituals that would be necessary?
Uh, I always have to pick out our game balls before the game. There's only a certain ones that I always have to. That's other than that, that's probably my only superstition I'd say is having the six game balls and three that I'll use in pregame. That's pretty much it for me. Is there any for you, Toby?
I've never been real superstitious. I like maybe during baseball, like with my wrist tape, but that's really all I can think. Like I don't. I'm trying to think. I don't think there is. No.
Yeah. So baseball does seem a little more like a little more superstitious of a
Oh yeah,
sport.
for sure. We're very
But
superstitious.
you all are. I'm not. I don't want to say it's rare. Maybe it's a generation thing, but there was a lot of weird superstitions we had back when I was. Yeah, it was. What about you, Cam? Did you have any? Like I feel like we're older, so maybe that's why. But
yeah, I mean, I just wrist tape. I mean, it's more of a, I guess, a preference thing than a superstition, I guess.
Yeah.
But um, I have just two more questions, then we'll get y'all out of here. Um, first off, I want you all to comment on the game this week because I think it's unique in that it's kind of a different style than what you played last week. And I think y'all mentioned Jesse. I feel like Jesse's going to be pretty important this week. They have a very physical team at Patrick Henry. Great line. I think D1 prospect, if I'm not mistaken, over there. So just some things about that game that excites you. And I know you don't want to give away too much, but just comment on the game a little bit.
Yeah, first home game, first opportunity to play in front of our home fans. That's the first thing that stands out to me that I can't wait for. Just to go put a show on for them. And I mean, going from playing an air raid team like Honecker to a ground and pound type team like Patrick Henry, and it's tough because if you make one mistake on defense, I mean, they're gonna make you pay for it. So yeah, it's gonna be tough. As you mentioned, the D1 Tyler Barrett, I'm friends with him. He's a man amongst men. He's just, he's big, and yeah, we're gonna try. I mean, I think we're ready game plan wise for him, and it's gonna be a great game. I'm super pumped for it, and hopefully Lane for Heisman. Hopefully he gets going this week. So it takes pressure off me for throwing the ball. So hopefully we get the line moving, make all the right reads, and I think we should be fine.
Yeah, I mean, I think we just got to match their toughness. I mean, they really strive just on the ground and pound game, and they're going to try to run it down your throat. So I think we've put a lot of game planning in on trying to stop that. And I mean, they're going to run it behind Tyler Barrett, and I don't know if we can match that physicalness, but we're going to do our best. So I think we just got to take advantage of our offensive possessions because, I mean, I feel like they're going to try to slow the game down. So we're just going to try to score every chance we get, try to make the least amount of mistakes we can, and match their toughness and feed off that home crowd. So
those are great answers. Y'all have done some interviews before, I feel like. I got one more thing, the weird thing we do, top three. This is not really a top three necessarily, but for each of you, three toppings is all you can choose, only three. What are your three toppings you're putting on a pizza?
Oh, oh gosh. All right, first we're gonna go with pepperoni, of course. Let's go with sausage next. And then we'll go with what was it? Olives. Yeah, we'll go with olives. So pretty much almost like a supreme pizza. We'll go with the supreme pizza.
yeah, I'll just stick with the classic meat lovers, which I guess would be just pepperoni, sausage, and
What are you, coffee and
like bacon and ham. I mean, yeah, I'm just classic pizza. I mean, I'll pick pepperoni over anything. I mean,
yeah, I'll accept both those answers. At least either one of you didn't say pineapple. That's where I was gonna say I'm not.
I thought about it.
Yeah,
that's what you was baiting for.
Yeah.
I just have one question. I think that will probably be our last question. Do you have any more, J. Moore, after this?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Yeah, we typically end our player reviews with this. Just each one of you, just your biggest motivation when you play.
I think my motivation. My dad played at Lebanon, and just wanting to continue what he left on in his legacy, and just want to be the best player I can for myself, for my teammates, and just it keeps me going every day. And then obviously my favorite player everyone knows, Justin Herbert. I strive to be like him almost every single game. I mean, I just want to be.
Here we
I
go.
mean, I strive. I mean, he keeps me motivated.
You got him started.
That's my favorite quarterback, probably all time. But yeah, just dad played at Lebanon, and I just want to continue playing and leave a great legacy behind.
Yeah, I think a lot of mine stems from, I mean, just trying to play for the next level or go to the next level. And I mean, I think every football kid's dream is to go D1, play somewhere big. But and a lot of it comes from just seeing like a lot of the little kids on the sideline. Like I know when I was little, coming to a Lebanon football game, I mean, whether we were good or bad, it was always just such a great environment. And watching those guys go ball out every week, I mean, it's just something that I feel like now that I'm in their shoes, that I can be a inspiration, I guess, for those little kids. And like watching the Pee Wee practices while we're practicing, sometimes I'll see the kids like throwing before practice. And I just remember when I used to do that, or me and Mike would be throwing like 15 minutes before practice just to get loose and have some fun. So I think that's one thing that I've always just loved about the game of football, just watching those kids, wide-eyed on Friday nights watching some football. So
I'll let Cameron finish it up. I just wanted to say, hope both of y'all stay healthy all year. Best of luck. Looking forward to watching. And regardless of how bad Lebanon's parking is, I will be at a game this year, hopefully.
you're right. They even got reserve spots this year. If you want to pay $50, you go right ahead.
I mean, I'll walk, but I'm fat and it's a long walk for me. So, but I will try to get over.
Well, it's not the worst parking now after last Thursday night. We'll get into that here in a little
No.
bit later on in the episode.
The parking wasn't bad. It was the getting out. That's all I'll say.
Yeah. Again, thank you guys. And just what Jay Moore said. Good luck going forward. We're trying to catch some of the games, so I'm very excited to see what y'all do on the field.
Appreciate it. Thank y'all for having us on.
Yeah, thank you for having us. It was a blast.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
All right.
We'll jump right into it. Somebody over at Honecker needs to be down there telling people when they park at the bottom, you have to leave a road open somewhere. Get out. That's all I'm gonna say. I know there was a rain and lightning delay. People left early. I get it. You can't do that. I mean, what are we doing?
Just to kind of go off of that, I think that there is more available parking at Honecker than a lot of places.
Yes.
But in that bottom, yes, I agree that there should have been some kind of organization.
Well, even when I've been over there last year for playoff games and for regular season games, it is. I mean, there's more access there. It is hard to get out. I mean, you might get blocked in occasionally. It might be tight, but there's always been a road open. I mean, there was on that bottom end there was no road. It was just people pulling in. Like, it was crazy, but. That wasn't the worst part of my weekend. The worst part of my weekend is Tech probably not going to be very good again unless that was just a fluke. But they're not going to be as bad as Florida State, I don't think, or what the projections for each were going to be. They're not going to.
Yep.
That's a rough start for the old Nose down there.
It is. Did you see that picture of that spear through the TV?
I didn't. No.
Yeah.
I seen the one about the second Trump shooter was identified.
Yeah.
I seen that one.
And it was a DJ.
And yeah. I've seen a lot of them.
And I know we're getting ready to get into some other stuff, but did you see the Florida State fan that went viral because he had said earlier in the week, this is kind of nasty, but said that he was going to eat feces if they end up losing to Boston College. And halfway through the game, he deleted his account.
Deleted the Twitter, yeah, or X. Yeah. I'm sorry, whatever it is. But yeah, I seen that. I get where he's coming from, but there's some things you just don't risk, and I feel like that's probably one of them. But I don't know.
I see.
Definitely.
All right, we're back again, and we have a special treat for you tonight, guys. We're going to be talking about some high school football, but we got the one and only Fred Minco from Fresh Off the Clock here with us. What's up, Fred?
Fellas, thanks for having me, man. Hey, Freshies, Fresh Off the Clock family, whatever you want to call it. What's up, fellas? Yeah.
What's going on, man?
When you go outside today, just smells different. Just feels different. Fellas, it's football season. It's here. It's here. How are we doing? Porch talkers, whatever you call your fan base. What's up, man? What's up, everybody? How are we doing?
What do we call our fan base?
I don't know, but I want to run through a wall. Awesome, man. Go ahead, Mark.
Go ahead.
Hey, man, I love the energy you bring to your show. I love the energy you're bringing on here. Um, I want to ask a question about your podcast. How did you guys get started? What was your original purpose? And what some goals you got going forward?
Dude, great question, great question. um, so me and Cody Hatfield, who is my co-host, that's my dog for life, and me and him, we were selling cars up at Cole Chevrolet in Bluefield, and we would just sit in the showroom and just argue about sports, literally every single day. I'm a big Eagles fan. Go Birds! We have the game down in Brazil against the Packers. Can't wait for that one. Cody's a big Steelers fan. I'm a big WVU fan. He's a big Tech fan. And it just goes on down the line. Phillies, Dodgers. Like, when I tell you, we could just sit there and just talk the talk. And, like, we kind of made a joke and was like, well, I mean, what if we just launch a sports podcast? And we did. And the first launch was super, super cool. We had like 1,600 followers in like 8 months. We were doing food reviews for area, well, for all of the little restaurants. We were kind of covering some high school sports, and we were trying to touch all of the bases, and it was a great time. Had a lot of fun. I moved to Jersey, and then it just trying to stop. We tried to do it remotely. It just, the numbers weren't there, and the passion just quite wasn't there. I mean, at that time I was only like 20. COVID hit. I moved to South Carolina, and me and Cody were on the phone 4 years later, 3 years later, and fresh off the clock as the page was sitting at 1,600 followers for years. We didn't post nothing. The page was dead. We kind of agreed, like, hey, it was great that we done it, but it's time, to rest it. And it was kind of a joke. Maybe we're like, dude, what if we brought it back? And we did, and we kicked the door in, and we really found our niche and what we do with just the whole high school scene and our area specifically, just that southern West Virginia, southern Virginia realm. A lot of dogs, man. We've all, my entire team. Shout out to Pendry, Robbie, Allen, AJ. We now got Gabe, my dog Ryan. Shout out to the dogs over at Tyler Talking Sports too, man. But we all played high school ball, and we've all been in the area, and we all felt like we were probably better than what we were, but just a little bit of extra exposure probably would have been nice. And we've been very blessed to have just a big reach, and we kind of threw a few darts at some boards to see what would hit, what's not. We had NFL legends on, which was super cool, but like at first we took more of a college route where we had like my coach from Concord, Kyle Jolly. He was a all ACC offensive tackle over at UNC. And then we kind of threw a dart at some high school stuff, and it caught fire. And now, like I said, we are extremely blessed, and we're here just doing what we do. And you did ask about some plans. We got some big ones. I won't lie to you. Also, a lot of people's asked. Merch drops coming this December, man. Shout out my dog Deontay Freeman, Mad Boys X, fresh off the clock merch. It's gonna be quality. It's gonna be limited, but it is coming, and it's gonna be some heat.
It's a big press release right there.
Yeah, nah, for real.
Right there, yeah. I
This
mean,
is
that's a
this is the drop, man. Hey, we've had a lot of people asking. Which was like I said, dude, we're blessed for real. Like, I give everything to the good Lord because we've been able to reach some places and meet some people. And dude, I have disassociation multiple times a week for real, where I'm just like, what? But we held our first football camp this past summer over there in Princeton. We threw a little 7-on-7 and a lineman camp, and we just dropped some basic shirts that were fire, and people were trying to buy them from us, and we was like, we don't have any more. So we're gonna have a quality merch drop, and that's, dude, I can't wait, man. Just a hat. Hey, and shout out to Porch Talk hats. Hard, hard for real.
thank you, thank you.
Yep. And something I actually had intentions on mentioning at the beginning. Uh, for you and for your whole crew, we appreciate all the invites and stuff that y'all have given us. Trying to get us on with some stuff, and
Always, bro.
we appreciate that. Things didn't always work out with our work and just schedules and stuff like that, but I just wanted you all to know how much we appreciated that. You mentioned a lot of the guests you've had, and they've been some pretty big ones. So I wanted you to kind of mention just some of your favorites that you've had.
Oh, dude, when I tell you, it's been crazy. One that was super early. It was a little bit of a back-to-back thing. It was like within the first 10 episodes. Um, we've had to like really. When I tell y'all for one though, this is a grind. This is a grind. We don't get paid for this by any means. So like every day we all work full-time jobs. I've had 3 a.m. nights doing graphics and just trying to brainstorm, and we were very blessed again, like just throwing darts at a board. And I had a Marvin McNutt on, who was an Iowa Hawkeyes all-time leading receiver, played on the Eagles some. And I also had one of his dogs, who is the Michigan State all-time leading receiver on B.J. Cunningham. And these were like in the first 8 episodes of us coming back, which was like surreal. And like I'll be honest with you, y'all, like I was just DMing a bunch of guys from my childhood that like stuck with my brain, like not superstars because those are a little bit harder to reach, but like some guys, a little bit mid-level guys, like maybe some college guys that didn't quite pan out in the pros, but they're still household names in certain areas, and it worked. Um, and I won't hold you, we had to pay money for them, but that's fine. This is an investment. I want to do this until I die. So if I got to spend a little bit of money to do something, I am. Well, now we're blessed. We've had some great people, and they see the work that we're, trying to do. So people don't charge us for interviews anymore. But starting off, that was a grind too. But that the founder of ESPN was insane, so real, and that one was free. Shout out to Kevin Sizemore. At that point, it's just all about who you do know. But having the founder of ESPN, a man who is literally a pioneer for sports television, I mean, like just was crazy. I won't lie to you. That night I cried for real. I got off air and I was like, "This is real life. Like this is real big life." And not even so much the interviews, but like we done the little Tony tournament where we came down there and we were just doing interviews with the players, with the coaches, the fans. It was crazy, dude. Like just such, I'm getting chills, and I could start crying again for real. Like just such big things that we had no idea that this could happen. And then just even one that I've really enjoyed recently. So back home, youth football is huge, and we had the head coach of the 2 live crew on, and he brought a few of his kids on. They were starstruck. I mean, these are like 7th and 8th grade kids, but just like seeing the parents and like, there's so many feel goods with this, and like I'm getting chills again. Like just so many feel goods. Parents reaching out to us saying thank you, or oh I love this, or seeing auntie comment, oh that's my baby, or like even the kids that they're not obviously the Martell Lowe's and the Amari Hills, the kids that are probably going to go Division 1, right? But just that kid who, like he didn't think football was his thing, but he's kind of all right at it, right? And then we're sitting there showing him love too, and then just perspective is crazy. All a young man needs is a little bit of just confidence, just to walk better, right? Just to feel better, act better, think better, right? So like, and at that point, we're kind of almost planting seeds to where I don't know if we're changing people's lives, but like at this point, it's almost a possibility. Or even whenever we done the little football camp, was crazy. I cried then too. I'm a big crier, dude, because this stuff is nothing but straight milestones. I was able to speak to a few schools and drop a few kids' names in hats, and it's just like, wow, like that's real life craziness, dude. I love this stuff. For like, I don't care if I ever make a dime. I'm gonna do this until just I can't. Just this is I love it.
Now you talking about some of them players, their only exposure and maybe ever only real interview some of them may get is could be with you all. I mean, and so they could look
Real.
back, years from now and be like, went on one time on a podcast, and always have that to go back to show, friends, family, future kids, something like that. It'll always be there for them to find. I think that's a really cool thing, especially about podcasting. Is years from now, if somebody wants to go back and look and say, "Hey, here, I was on a podcast. You can check it out."
When like so me, I'm not sure if y'all are familiar. And long live my dog, Anthony Bourdain. He actually traveled the like world tasting foods and stuff, and he actually came down to Welch, West Virginia, my senior year. Brought CNN down. It was a huge thing, and I Coach Thompson kind of picked a few kids who had just good stories growing up, whole single mom, blah blah blah, right? And that's something that like, dude, I tell everybody like, oh yeah, no, I'm on Netflix twice. That and the Glass Castle. So like stuff like that sticks with you forever, and like it's crazy because like, dude, when I go home and I go to Walmart, they're like, oh, it's a dude from Fresh Off the Clock, and I'm like, bro, what? But like, yeah, no, just being able and like just the graphics are really cool. Like me as a senior, I would have loved if there was some kind of sports podcast that would review my highlight tape, or if I won an award, they put a graphic on Facebook and let thousands of people to see, and like they'll always have that stuff. And like we've given out a few trophies for MVPs and stuff like these kids will always have that stuff. And yeah, it might get put on the shelf with the rest of them, but it's still there and they'll always have it.
Yeah, and you mentioned like some of the highlights and stuff like that. I think it's really cool what you all do, like you've done with the top players in the area. I thought that's awesome. We were
That was a
talking about it.
blast.
Yeah, talking about last week. We were just kind of guessing who might be one, which I think we both kind of guessed the right one. Which special talent there.
He's a dog. And
Yeah.
not to put nothing out there, but Amari Hills from down the road, Midtown County, like that area, bro, produces straight dogs. Ty Dre Slim is up at Tech. Us from down the road. I watched Amari Hill when he was a kid, regging stuff in Little League, going crazy in middle school. That young man, he's always just been a different athlete.
Yeah, and I mean, which we're going to get into some of them here in a second. But even the stuff that you and Cody did with the, I think Cody was doing the reels where he would go and break down game film.
Great time.
Yeah, I
Yes.
thought that was awesome. Yeah, and just I guess just kind of off base a little bit, but I did want to ask you since you already mentioned some players that came out of that area, but just some players to watch even this year in the area that you're covering.
Oh, dude, there's so many of them, man. Um, there is a few players. So obviously you have the big ones like the top 10 guys. Like you got the Brad Mossers, the Chance Barker. You got just all of these players, the Jaden Franciscos. But like some of the not household names that I've been able to kind of watch. There's a DB in Princeton named Garrett Mays, who I hear is just a great, outstanding kid, and he's a sneaky good defensive back. That's someone that I suggest you all get very familiar with. And also, oh man, there's so many of them. I don't want to like throw kids out and then not like. There are some kids at Mount View too, man. J. Ron Hale, shout out to him, man. Him and Zamir Martin are two kids that when you get the ball in their hands, they're gonna cook, man. They're gonna cook. Also, bro, the kicker from Graham, Dylan Nash. I don't know if y'all have seen this kid hit a 48-yarder that was good from 52 all day, right before halftime. That's crazy in high school.
Yeah, I read about him in the paper just probably a few hours ago. It was a huge factor in that game.
Also, Grant Burdett, man, the tight end up at Greenbrier East is a dog too. That's someone who he's not quite a household name yet, such as maybe his quarterback Brody, a little bit more well known. But Grant Burdett, dude, that kid, honestly, he might end up going to a small Division One school. Definitely more of a full ride D2 player for sure.
You got anything more before we
No,
get into
go ahead.
some of the games?
No, you can go ahead.
Yeah, back here again, guys. Hate to interrupt this great episode we have going on, but I did want to mention if you haven't watched our episodes before, haven't heard of us, you may have missed out on a lot of great guests that we've had on. So just to throw out a few names before we continue on, we just finished up last week a great episode on Coach Ray Jones. We had a few guests come on, tell stories about him. Probably one of the best defensive minds that's ever came through Southwest Virginia. So check that one out. It is an audio only. But then we also have part one, part two with Jeff Lester, former guard and Green Dragon, Coach Brian Moore, Richlands varsity basketball head coach, and then just among some of the other ones, and I'll run through them. We had a high school football preview for this year, 2024 high school football preview. We had Coach Hunter Norris from Lebanon, Eastside head coach Mike Rhodes, Twin Valley head coach Tommy Krieger, Hurley head coach Zach Deal. Then we also had on part one, we had Grundy head coach Keegan Bartley, Castlewood head coach John Chisholm, Twin Springs head coach Keith Warner. Among some of the other names that you may have mentioned from the first year that we done this, might have been Coach Greg Tester, Coach Shane Wicks. We even had former players such as Mark Dockery on, and Brady Hess, probably one of the best storytellers you've ever heard. So check out all these episodes, and I know I've even missed some. Had a lot of great episodes with the players and stuff coming on through basketball season and last football season. Go back, check them out. And going forward, we have a lot of guests we've already got lined up, special guest episodes, as well as more player interviews. And then we also have some music episodes we're going to do. We mentioned at the very beginning that we were big into country music, and I mean any music really out of this area, just to promote some local artists. We used to cover weekly country music. We haven't done that as much now with our plate being kind of full, but we do have some local artists that we have scheduled to come on, and we have a few episodes coming up that's going to be special. So yeah, check those out and stay tuned for what's going forward. Thank you again. What we'll do here is we're going to do a pick 'em. We're going to go through some high school games, and I have a bunch of games wrote down from more the Virginia side, and more in particular like the Southwest Virginia, deep Southwest Virginia that we kind of cover. But we're also going to have Fred kind of bring up some games from his area, and then there's some games that I think are pretty relevant that you probably know a lot more about, like just Graham and Bluefield, top one, and we'll get to that. That'll be our I think our second or third game we go to. But what we'll do is we'll kind of recap a little bit, give our predictions, and there might be some that me and Jamar might not know a whole lot about, so we might listen to Fred and just kind of go with him. But that's what we plan on doing here, and we'll go ahead and get into it here, and we'll go ahead and recap the game that the guests that we had on the Coal Bowl, Lebanon and Honaker from last week. And Jamar, do you want to get started on your thoughts on that game real quick?
A really sloppy start for both between the penalties and the turnovers. Took both teams a while to get going. I mean, even late in the game, it was kind of low scoring compared to what people were thinking it was going to be. And Honaker was always in it. Just one or two plays away from that being a different game going down to the wire. But Lebanon made more plays. Turnovers ended up killing Honaker. And Honaker, I mean, obviously you lose what they lose or what they lost. Obviously going to be a big deal, but it seemed a little more of a big deal than what I think people may have thought. Or maybe Lebanon's just is better. I think it's a mixture of both. But Reece played amazing. That offense, wasn't the prettiest thing ever, but they made plays when they needed to. They ran the ball well. Ran the ball anytime they wanted to. They line up and run it. But Honaker, they got to figure some things out. I think they're going to be fine. I think it was just like I said, turnovers killed them. A couple matchup problems, but as far as in the Hoga-Higgy, I mean, obviously it's a tough district, but I think they'll be okay. I wouldn't abandon ship if I was, on the Honaker train. Yeah, I would still have some faith. I think they'll have a very good year, but yeah, moving forward, Lebanon and being in 2A though, that's there's some tough teams in that division or that district. Obviously, Graham's in that. I feel like Tazle's probably,
Tassel
got
sneaky,
their
bro.
number. Yeah,
Tassel sneaky.
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So they're not looking. I don't feel like they're at that level, but I think they have significantly improved since last year.
Yeah, and just to recap some of the stats, Lebanon did win this game 35-16. You mentioned Reece, and we had Reece on earlier. He had 241 passing yards and a touchdown. And the
Fair
freshman
enough.
that oh yeah, he was great last week. And running back, Fred, this name right here will probably be pretty popular over the next few years. Lane Jesse, he's brute, huge guy. He had 121 yards rushing and 3 touchdowns in a air raid offense to where he got the ball. When he did get the ball, he made the most of it. Baker that we had on 3 catches, 102 yards, and Maddox Knuckles had 5 catches and 91. Like Jamar said, sloppy game. There's 28 penalties across the board. I think that kind of cost, a lot of drives, especially for Lebanon in the first half. I think that they had some missed opportunities passing the ball, but then they had some penalties that just knocked them back. But yeah, Honaker, like you said, more. I think Honaker's going to be okay. Peyton Music had 110 yards passing, 107 rushing yards, so he was still able to try to get it done as much as he could. I think a lot of it was turnovers. They
Well,
had 2 fumbles. Go ahead.
sorry, but I was just real quick, and a lot of drops.
Yeah.
I forgot to mention that, but while you said that
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
Peyton's yardage, he had a lot more yardage than that if they'd hauled some of those in.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, they had 2 fumbles and 2 interceptions, and they were in the red zone several times. So I think that I think it was just a game that maybe you play later in the year for both sides would be a little bit more clean.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Honecker will be fine. They bounced back, and which we'll talk about here in a second against Castlewood this week. And I think the only thing going forward that I think for Honecker would be one, you did lose a lot of talent last year, a lot of guys that went to college and played. So I think going forward, I think the more reps these receivers get in this offense, uh, just the offense getting to work together. I think by the end of the year they'll look a lot better, just like year one of the air raid that they had with Shane and Coach Tiller at the time. That was it was a process. But one thing I do hope, I think we talked about it too, going forward is maybe some of the mental mistakes. Even there's times when Peyton was scrambling and we didn't see anybody working their way back to him. And I think some of that stuff will probably get fixed this week. But yeah, great game. Fred, I know that these teams ain't out your way, but I know you've heard
Well,
of.
this one is.
I was gonna say you've heard Honaker and you've heard the rumblings about Lebanon and some of the stars they got. So did this game shock you in any way?
Cold Bowl was pretty big on how we're in here. Obviously, Cody's my more that's my more southern, that's my southern Virginia guy. But I will say I did have a chance to watch some of that game. I had my laptop, my TV, and my phone, dude. It was like red zone for like 2 days straight, for real. I had a blast. Because at this point, I almost have to watch both sides. I will say I think y'all. It's now obviously Coach Witz was with the program before, but it is his first game as head coach. Losing Coach Tiller, not sure what happened there, but obviously that was a very much respected guy inside the locker room and inside the program, and he definitely knew what he was doing. Um, just first game jitters, right? Big game, the Cold Bowl, big rivalry. Lebanon got some ballers. Shout out to Mike Reece, Toby Baker, over 30 yards a catch. That's a great night for him. Um, and obviously turnovers, right? 4 turnovers. That's four possessions, and they lost by 3. So like at that point, that's literally obviously the score was pretty far apart, but I feel like knowing that team and they are a younger team this year. Big win for them, and like you said, they are in a tough district. Um, and just to touch up on like Tazewell some too, dude. Shout out to Carter Creasy and Logan McDonald. Just broke records for that. School. That division is pretty stacked up. So this is a big win for them. The beautiful part about football is it don't matter until them pads come on, and if that team can catch steam, they've obviously shown that they can throw a football, they can run a football, right? So at that point, you just never know. You just never know.
I
Yeah,
will
and
I will say I think moving forward, I think Honecker. I think if they make the right adjustments and play a little better, can take a big leap. I think Lebanon just cleaned up some penalties. I thought the one thing for Honecker is they are single A, which makes a big difference. From the 2A. and Lebanon being a small 2A. I think Honecker has a little more. Now it's a tough schedule, obviously. Patrick Henry's in there, Chohawi, Rakov's in there. I think they got not no ain't no lay down and no gimmies, but the time maybe for them to turn it around maybe a little easier at 1A. But I think both of those teams are gonna be good teams to watch moving forward throughout the year.
Yeah, no, that's kind of a recap of the Cold Bowl. But as far as this week goes, we mentioned Honecker plays Castlewood, so we'll go ahead and make the picks for that game. Castlewood lost to North Green last week, 42-6, and what was Coach Chisholm that we had on for preview is his first game coaching, head coach out this way. They did lose, but the Blue Devils they got their lone touchdown from Brady Houchins, and he went to Caleb Scooter Taylor for a 60-yard touchdown. So I wanted to give them a shout out. I know that right now that's probably not the way they wanted that game to go, but there's a lot of promise there. They've got a lot of numbers from a school that I think was averaging from 18 to like 25 maybe in numbers to now having like 40 to 50. So there's a lot of excitement there. Um, with that being said, Castlewood has had 18 straight games of allowing 30 points or more. And I think right now, yeah, Honecker, I think that they're going to be coming back and pretty frustrated with themselves from last week. Anytime you lose a big game like that, you're just ready to get back out in the field. So for me, for my opinion or my prediction, is I'm going with Honecker, and I expect Avery Music to have a big game. I'm not sure that Castlewood right now has anybody that can match up with him, and I think that's just going to be an X factor. Go ahead, Jay Moore. What you got for that one?
Yeah, I think this is a good game for Honecker to get back right, getting back in the right direction. I think the coach at Castlewood that we had on, I think he's the right guy for that job. I think he's going to bring in a lot of excitement, build a culture, but it's not going to happen overnight. They weren't great last year, and they were in the rebuilding, and I think you know they got same guys. I don't think anybody transferred in, so um, you're going to have to build it up, year by year. I think they're headed in the right direction, or they're going to be, but I don't think it's this year. So I think Honecker. I don't want to say an easy game because I don't think I don't put Castlewood down like that. We're going to play hard, but I think this is be a good bounce back for Honecker.
Castlewood, so they actually fall up under the area that we do cover. So we've been able to read up on them some and check them out too. And I mean, obviously, a first year head coach, a team that's trying to find their identity versus a team that thought they had theirs and they just had a bad week. Obviously, Peyton and his brother Avery is one of the best 1-2 punches you can find in the area, and you can expect them to bounce back big. And Peyton being the guy that he is, that just broke the school passing record, at that point you expect a big week from him for sure.
And just to go on the other side of this, Lebanon, they got Patrick Henry at home, and what I think is probably one of the bigger games out this way. Patrick Henry, they had a close game against Virginia High, overtime loss. Their running back, they're replacing heck of a running back in Cam Goodspeed from last year. They got Jeb Stewart that's out there this year. He had 118 rushing yards, but he left in the fourth quarter due to an ankle injury. So I'm not sure how bad that is, and he didn't come back in from what I understand. So I don't know if he's going to be ready for Lebanon this week. That could be a difference maker, but it's going to be exciting to see the O line and defense line match up this week because we mentioned Lane Jesse, huge back that Lebanon has going up against that defensive front at Patrick Henry, and opposite styles. Patrick Henry, they run the ball, they try to keep it out of your hands, and they got a D1 prospect on the line, Tyler Barrett. So I know they're going to be running behind him. I think it's going to be a good game, a good style matchup to see who wins. I think it's going to be very hard hitting, but I am going to go with Lebanon just because of that injury. I'm not real sure. I think it would have been closer. I'm not saying I would have picked Patrick Henry, uh, although I do think they have a real solid squad for single A this year. But I'm going to go with Lebanon. We got more.
Yeah, I'm the same. The injury, obviously, I don't know the details, the extent of it. He may be playing. I don't know. But even without the injury, I was still going to pick Lebanon. I think just on the edges. Patrick Henry can run obviously the offense. He'll keep Lebanon off the field if they can run the ball. But when Lebanon has the ball, they have to match up somehow. And I don't see them being able to, go out on that perimeter with them and match up with those receivers, especially Baker and let Reece, especially as mobile as he is. They're not going to keep him in the box. He's going to scramble and make plays. So I think even with a full healthy Patrick Henry, Lebanon probably would have had to score, majority of their possessions. But if Patrick Henry's banged up, I think makes things a little easier for Lebanon. So I'll take the Lebanon.
But yeah, I'm locked in with probably Patrick Henry. I would like to know the status of the running back, but I think Lebanon coming off of a big win versus a team that just lost to Virginia, who was a good ball club, not a great ball club. That's probably one you want back. I think it's kind of the same thing with the whole Hunter thing, right? This is a team that's typically they do win some good football games, and this is a game where this is kind of their chance to get back into the win column and really fight hard. And they do got some big boys down there in them trenches, and even if say they were match limited by at that point, if you just put someone decent back there behind that offensive line, I have no idea of their depth back there, but he. I think I'm reluctant with Patrick Henry.
I think, like I said, I think it's gonna be a good game. You made a good point. I mean, it could with that offensive line, it might not matter. It'd be interesting to see. So, probably the biggest game in this area, and it has been no matter what the records are, is Graham versus Bluefield. And so I wasn't able to watch it, but I was able to see some of the stats and stuff from it. But I just wanted you kind of give us a rundown there, Fred, on Graham versus Bluefield this year, and not only that, but if you don't mind, just some favorite memories of that game in the past.
Yeah, for one, hell of a ball game, dude. Straight up, up until the third quarter, I mean, it felt like Bluefield might take it. They had a hard time getting the thing going on offense. Now Bluefield did just lose their offensive coordinator, Coach Simon's son, Freddie Simon. So they're trying to find their identity there. The guy that stepped up, cannot think of his name, but he was already in the program. They have a freshman at quarterback, Matt Simpson. Kid's going to be there for a while, and he's going to be a good quarterback. I do just want to say right quick, dude, shout out to the linebacker from Bluefield, Ty Patton. Hell of a game, young man. Hell of a game, for real. Young man was flying around the field. And also, dude, Jaden Francisco was an animal. I mean, that Bluefield defense is probably one of the best in Double A in West Virginia right now, to be honest with you. Hats to the ball. They were playing. Obviously, Graham's a good football team, and the other side was playing too. You seen Chris Edwards going after it too, man. Amari Hill had two sacks, a couple of TFLs too, man. Brennan Isbell was all over it too. Like when I tell you, that was just a damn good, low-scoring football game. And like I said when I jumped in there, man, shout out to Dylan Nash, the kicker from Graham, probably the best kicker in the area. Argue with a wall. He had a 48-yarder that was good for 54 all day. I promise you, that thing has some air on it. But yeah, Graham won 10-0, which was not the game that we were all expecting. Now, obviously, Graham lost some talent too. They lost their anchor on the offensive line and Caden Rodenberry. He's up at Ferrum now. Obviously, you got Tadres Clements. He's at Tech. But led their quarterback, Dalton Roberts, trying to find his, arm. Some Chris Edwards is a two-way dog. One of the best players in the entire area and the entire state. I think it was a classic game. Now, this, I believe, is 4 years straight that Graham has won. But, there's been some memories, dude. Like, that stuff is just electric. Shout out. I've had a lot of teammates go up the road to Bluefield and to Graham, so I've been able to kind of watch them kind of play in it. And um, great rivalry, one of the best in the entire country. That's why they're part of the rival series. Yeah, just a great game. Uh, I would like to see Coach Simon kind of let Max open up his arms some, and I think that's what you kind of see the popular opinion was about that game is. It's kind of hard to score when they know you're running every single time. But it's a young quarterback. He's a young kid, 14 years old. and he's just finding his footing. But this Bluefield team is dangerous, to be honest with you. They have some talent. This team looks better than last year's team for real. And they do have some stalwarts on that offensive line too. Shout out to Grady Woods, who was out there just going, bro, going. And shout out to Bluefield's defensive lineman. Can't think of his name. Number 71, bro. That young high motor was out there playing, dude, for real. I'm excited to watch the Bluefield Beavers, and I need Ram to go on a tirade this year too, man. I cannot wait for this season, man. Well, it's here now, but this Friday's going to be a banger. And just to kind of veer off some, dude, this Bluefield Princeton game is going to be nuts. Um, Princeton's a powerhouse right now, but this Bluefield defense cannot be slept on. I don't know if they possess the corners to cover the receivers that Princeton has, but man, that's going to be a great game.
Yeah, that was actually the next game I had up here because it's just, I mean, I know we're not that close to either one, but uh, we hear all the talk. We know how good Princeton is, and I was wondering, yeah, from us, what do you think about that game, and maybe even a prediction there.
So I actually, before I hopped on here with you all, I had Oak Hill head coach Devon Marion on here. They play Princeton in 2 weeks. Shout out to Coach Marion. Love that guy, dude. Great guy. Concord Hall of Famer now. Shout out to him. But he kind of hit it on the head. That Princeton team is stacked, dude. I mean, every single position on every level, they have an all first team All State caliber player for AAA. From the quarterback, bro. Chance Barker's him. Buddy's he'll drop it in a bucket. Brad Mosser, nasty, bro. Brad Mosser's an animal. For real, like I thought about calling animal control because that dude, for real, like you got to take him down with a taser. And he's returning punch too. Shifty, patient, quick, animal. They got the best player in the two for Virginia's, the 4-star Daniel Jennings. I watched this man Daniel literally strong arm the offensive tackle. Buddy went flying, and then stuck the fullback. He had two pancakes on defense back to back. Like Daniel Jennings is an animal. He had 2 sacks. On the other end, Callum Kaiser led the state of West Virginia in sacks last year. So they added a generational pass rusher to an already bolstered defensive line. And on the offensive line, they got the big kid, Landon Moore. The young man's going to be a good offensive lineman that we hear his name for the next 2 years. That at linebacker too, dude. Markel Lowe, dog. Jordan Cooper is one of the best linebackers in the state. And that DB, like I said, the Garrett Mays, he is a good defensive back. So I mean, at every facet of the game of football, that team has something to come. And just I don't know if there's anybody in the state that right now obviously they lost to Martinsburg in the AAA last year, but who wouldn't lose to Martinsburg? But in terms of AAA, after the reclassification, I do believe that AAA is Princeton's for the taking. Now, with that being said, Bluefield, dude, you want to talk about a brutal schedule? Jeez, bro, they're a AA team, and pretty much all they play is just AAA and 4A. Like their schedule is brutal, brutal. But let them steal 2 or 3 or 4 of them games, and they're in the playoff anyways. But it's just the point system. I do think that Princeton has a very convincing win. I don't believe Bluefield can hang with them, not right now, given they have a freshman quarterback and he's going against the best pass rushing duo, one of the best in probably the entire country. To be honest with you, that offensive line is going to be tested quick, very quick. But I won't put no points on it, but it's either going to be like a 12-6 game, or Princeton's going to put up 40, and there is no in between.
You talked me into it. I'll take Princeton.
Yeah, and now you had a Bluefield's coach on last week too, didn't you?
First time, and dude, great guy, love him, love him.
Yeah, I want to give a shout out to that in case anybody's watching from out that way. If you haven't checked
And
that out
hey,
yet.
Bluefield people too, man. Listen, y'all were trying to on that state line there. Go give these dudes a follow. We're all kind of doing the same thing. We're just here to show love and just get these kids the exposure. And odds are a lot of these kids are going to be teammates with the kids across the line when they go to college. You see it all of the time. Not everybody's a true Division I athlete, but these D1, two, well, these D2, these D3 schools, they all trying to go to the same schools, man. So like, go to them a follow. They're just trying to show love. They're doing what we're doing. They're just a few hours right down the way.
Yeah, and I mean, even speaking on that, like Jamar, you mentioned you played at Bluefield State, so I'm sure a lot of the guys there that you played with, they're probably from out that way. And I mean, I don't,
No,
I'll let you comment on it, but
there wasn't many local people on that team. I don't think. And like I said, that was so long ago that nobody remembers. Um, but yeah, I mean, uh, I love coming down. I've been to several Graham games in the past several years. Have always made a point to come to a Bluefield Graham and not got a chance to yet. But I will be trying to
Must
get
watch.
to. I will
You
be trying to
have to.
get to Princeton this year. Got to see them play. All the hype around them. I'd love to watch them. But yeah, I get down to
I don't
Graham.
know
And,
what you're doing next Friday. I don't mean to cut you off too, but so Oak Hill, who they had a damn good quarterback transfer in. Oak Hill looks good this year. They look good. They have a good running back, good offensive line. Their defense just put up 7 sacks. Good football team. They lost to Princeton in the first round of the playoff last year. And so, like, Princeton and Oak Hill is probably 45 minutes away. Two of Oak Hill's coaches, including their head coach, come from Princeton. So like this is a real rivalry, and it's beautiful. If there's a game to watch just off the top of my head for the regular season, next Friday at Honeycutt in Princeton, that's going to be a damn good game.
may have to. Maybe the one I try to get to then. I think is
I would look
Rykoven
forward.
is Rykoven Honecker next week.
yeah, got that one next
Yeah,
week too. Yeah, so
I'm not sure. It'll be
it'll be
tough.
tough.
I might try to go to Princeton. I'm not. I ain't decided yet.
Yeah. We'll go on this next game here. And there will be some of these that we just kind of breeze through because I don't have a whole lot of information on them and don't have an infinite amount of time. But uh, Northwood at Rye Cove, you just mentioned Rye Cove, probably one of the better teams in this area. They brought back a lot. They won last week against. See, I thought I had it wrote down, but I think they played Hancock County. They won 62-6. Landon Lane, player to watch if you haven't seen him. He had 4 passing touchdowns and 3 rushing touchdowns last week. We talked about him, I feel like, every week last year. A heck of a ball player.
And he actually won Farm Bureau's Player of the Week, bro. Young man had a game.
Yeah,
He's
special talent.
he's one of my favorite players to watch around here. Um, I'm gonna go ahead and give my prediction. They put up 60 points again this week and rolled to another win.
Yeah, I think that I agree. I think they win. Another name to watch if you haven't yet heard of him. He's a sophomore lineman, Ethan Lawson out of Rye Cove. This guy is 6'6", 310 pounds. He put some of his weightlifting stuff up on X, and he has benching right now 415, uh, and he's doing the 225 for 20. He's got about 500 on his box squats. He's only 16 years old,
Oh,
so
kids don't D1.
yeah,
Kids don't
so
D1.
I seen him in
yeah,
Yeah.
he's a
person.
watch.
Seen him in person last year. He is an absolute house, and he's put on weight because he wasn't that. I don't think he was that big last year. He was tall, but he was kind of skinnier, but can move good. If he's that thick now, I mean, he is an absolute house of a kid.
Yeah, and I don't know if Patrick Henry and Ryko play each other this year, or maybe they end up in the playoffs. But I would love to see him. I know he's a lot younger, but him and Barrett, Patrick Henry go at it.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be a heck of a matchup.
I mean, how often in this area do you get two true Division I caliber linemen go at it? Not that often.
Yeah, no, and that's one thing that I mean that's a rare thing. I know a lot of people don't get excited about the play at the line of scrimmage, but when
You
you get
have
two
to.
guys like that, gosh, you got to watch. Yeah, but I got Rykov.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. I'll lock in with you. I'm not too versed on that. So yeah, no, Rocco. I'll shout out to the big dog.
Next one, huge game. happens tomorrow night, which when this drops, it'll be tonight because it'll be Thursday. But Galax at Graham. Uh, Galax defending 1A state champs, and then Graham was the 2A runner-ups against Radford, I think, last year. So, Fred, what do you have on this game? What do you think?
This is gonna be war. Bloody slaughter. Not just kidding. But it's gonna be a ball game for real, dude. Man, I know J-Lax are some animals, bro. Them they got some players for real. I'm gonna take Graham. I don't even know why I'm saying I think Graham they got a big win. This happens every year, dude. Bluefield Graham just play each other different. It's kind of like the NFL. It can be a 3-6 Buccaneers team playing a 9-0 Falcons team, and like it's gonna go to overtime. Like they just play different. Those just they grow up together. They know each other. They play different. I think this Graham team is gonna go on an absolute tirade run. They're loaded, front, top to bottom. Galax is a good football team, great football team. They just won a championship. Graham didn't. But with that being said, I'm gonna give the Graham to nod. Shout out to that entire team, man. They got facets at every that's another ball club where they have an all-state caliber player at every single level of that team. At that point, that's a great football team, and I think Coach Palmer, one of the greatest men I've been able to sit here and talk to, absolute legend of a guy. I think Palmer and them boys are gonna have him right, man. And shout out to Big Mike Horton too.
All right, more.
I think Galax lost a running back. He graduated
Yeah,
maybe.
he did.
Yeah, I think they're in the real. I mean, I don't know. I don't follow Galax closely, but I feel like they're more of a rebuild maybe. But even if they're not rebuilding, even if they're ready to go, you lose a lot in that running back. He was a juggernaut. But I think you'll really see the difference in 1A and 2A this year. Which I mean every year, but in this game, Galax could be a very, very good, even possible contender in 1A. You're gonna find out why there's a difference in 2A. I think Graham. I don't want to say blows them out, but I don't think Galax has much for him. And if that's
Graham's gonna put
tomorrow,
up 40
yeah,
easy.
if that's tomorrow night, I may be at that one. If it's tomorrow night,
Yeah, smart night.
but yeah,
Uh,
I'm going with the G men.
Yeah, and I think that Galax does bring back that quarterback. I think he was a freshman maybe last year. He's pretty solid. But I think Galax even last year had lost a few and then really turned it on in the playoffs. So I think they got a great coaching staff. I think by the end of the year they'll be right again and they're right in the hunt. But I agree with you guys. I think Graham's too much right now. I think they've had a really good test. I think in the scrimmage they played Princeton, and then they played Bluefield. So the
Graham's ready,
competition,
bro. You
yeah,
bring anybody. Graham's ready. Graham,
mhm.
yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah, and I got Graham. Competition matters, and not that Galax hasn't had it, but I mean just the level that Graham has had, it matters. So I got Graham. Next one here, single A ball out this way. We got Hurley at Eastside, and what last year was a pretty close game, honestly.
Uh,
Um,
not. Sorry, go ahead. Thought you were done.
well, no, I was just going to say, Eastside last week they ended up beating Wise Central, first time in 11 years. So that was a big win for them. They trailed 15 to nothing before they came back and won. Eastside, I mean, we talked about them. I think on their preview episode, we said they're probably a dark horse team out this way. But star running back Keldon Hamilton had 86 yards rushing, touchdown. And then Noah Hamilton and Luke Trent also caught touchdown passes for them. Hurley's coming off of a pretty lopsided loss. I think it's 42-7 at Sherman. And from what I understand, Sherman was pretty solid last year. But Hurley's got Kanan Justice. He had 2 touchdowns against Sherman. So I think they'll lean on him pretty heavy this week. But I still have Eastside winning. I think they're too much. They got very solid team all around. Brought back almost everybody. So I got Eastside. But I do want to mention, if you haven't looked up yet, the Bristol paper put out a write-up on the Cliff. And we've talked about the Cliff several times on here, and it's where Hurley plays at. And I know they're not playing there this week, but I just wanted to specifically mention that article because it's truly a great article about that location. So, Mar, who do you got?
Not going to be the game it was last year. East side by a pretty good margin.
Shout out my dog Brent Butler, played at Eastside too, man. He was my teammate at Concord. Give me the Spartans.
Now I'm going to mention another one here, and I know that one of these teams is a little bit further north, but I wanted to mention them because George Wythe, they had a heck of a game last week, beating defending 2A state champs in Radford 28-7. They'll play Alta Vista this week, and what I think is going to be a huge game. George Wythe is coming off of, like I said, that big win, their first win over Radford since 2017. It's their first, Radford's first loss, period, since November 18th of 2022. I think that you guys had Trey Rainey as your player of the week, if I'm not
Shout out to the
mistaken.
young man.
Yeah.
Yep, over 200 yards.
Mm-hmm.
Young man went crazy.
Yeah, and four touchdowns. And so I think Alta Vista is defending Region 1B champs, and it's the first ever meeting between the two schools. I watched on, I think it was the Yak podcast, a little bit Northern Virginia, I think, or maybe mid Northern. And Matt Hatfield, I think, from Virginia Preps was on there, and he specifically mentioned Alta Vista as a team again to watch this year to be great. So I don't know a whole lot about Alta Vista as far as personnel goes, but I just wanted to mention it because George Wythe coming off that win, I think this would be a heck of a game this week. So if I have to pick one, I mean, I know I don't know everything about it, but I will say Alta Vista. I'm going to trust the guy from Preps, Virginia Preps up there. Are you more?
I really have no idea. I'm not familiar at all with really what Alta Vista's got year in, year out. George Wythe, I mean, everything I know about George Wythe is you can always expect George Wythe to be competitive. So I'll go with the Maroons. Just why not? Closer to home.
Hey, them Northerners don't know nothing. Give me George Wythe.
There you go. I just got a few more here and then we'll just run through the last little bit. But Union Richlands, what used to be a pretty big game in this area, back when,
Richlands.
yeah, back when Mitchell was playing, and then Coach Mance was at Richlands.
Dude, there was like
This,
10 years in a row where like 7 points decided 10 games. Like it was, this used to be like
yeah,
the game to watch. It was every year come down to like a last play, and now it's just, you know,
yeah, it's,
it is what it is.
yeah, and this is from what I read, they're not scheduled to play next year. So this might be the last one for a little bit. I think that Richmond's kind of fallen off a little bit. Maybe Union, maybe looking for some bigger competition as of right now. But they had a heck of a win last week in the brawl of the bucket or for the bucket. They beat Lee. Union did, and I did look up a little bit. I know me and you talked about it more the other day. Uh, the Lee coach, evidently, the comments that he made on the paper was more towards the transfers from Lee to Union. I don't know the exact word on it, but I do know that Tailgate Talk with the Boys and other podcasts I think out more towards that area, and I think they're towards Ridgeview and
You
Union
know, they
way.
just had that coach on, right?
Yeah, I was going to say they're having them on tomorrow,
Oh,
which would
tomorrow.
be, I guess, later today if this drops tomorrow. It'd be on Thursday, and he's supposed to address those comments. So they said that in the paper that could have been some good bulletin board material for Union.
I
So
mean, that's going on everywhere now. I get why he's frustrated, probably, but and I don't even know the situation, but I can guess. But I mean, you look at Honecker Lebanon. Not to bring up any, you know, anything bad, but like the last few years, basketball and football both. I mean, you know, look at Grundy, Hurley back in the day, like a couple of players. You know, I mean, it goes on, but it's just getting more and more now. Um, so I mean, it's kind of I don't know. I don't know what his comments were, so I'd like to know more before I speak on any more of them. But like, I'm not sure what. It's not a shock anymore when you see it happen.
yeah, Yeah, I think that
Comments don't matter when them past come on. Hey, we gonna find out Friday night.
that's it.
I
That's it.
think I
Yeah,
want to think that Union lost the transfer to somewhere in Tennessee. One of their really good defensive players, I feel like, was left. I
they
don't know
could have
did somebody tell us that, or did we? Heard that
maybe.
somewhere else, maybe.
Yeah, maybe I've
I
not
don't
heard
remember,
that, but I know that what Graham had lost a few right to Princeton out that way.
Well, they lost Daniel Jennings because, which is like
Yeah, so
he
it's
thinks,
worth
but
worth
also
about five.
to be frank, Daniel's from Princeton. Be
Yeah,
honest with you, I'm very close with his family. Went to Princeton Middle School, but yeah, no, losing Daniel Jennings hurts. But Cody played for Coach Palmer, and his thing was always, you don't rebuild, you reload.
yeah,
Next
yeah,
man up. I will say that's a good Union football team. That's They're gonna shoot up Friday night. They have some dogs on the offense. They have some dogs on the defense. Give me Union, man.
yeah. And same here. I'm going with Union. Coach Ronnie Davis from Richlands. I think he's still gonna be seeking that first win.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, and it's his first year. You almost hate to
mhm.
see it. You're like, dang it.
Yeah, and they, I think they had a decent showing last week against Gate City. I know they lost 20-0, but it was close there for a little bit. But I agree. I got Union. Cam Bostic, heck of a quarterback out there, had a good week last week. I think he'll have a good week this week. Jamar, you had
poor.
Union, right? Or,
It was a poor Union. It's like
yeah.
if it wasn't for Graham, Union would have probably have a state championship, at least one, and a couple of region championships. They're like the only team out this way that can really, and usually it's really good games with Graham. I think that
Oh
style that
yeah.
Union plays is like that. Get 3-4 yards at a time. I think that's tough to go up against. I'm looking forward to seeing how that plays out long term with Union Graham. But yeah, as far as this week, I think Union big time.
Yeah. Uh, these next few games, we'll go through and we'll speed up a little bit. But if any of y'all have anything you want to stop and say about any of them, just go ahead and shoot it. But we'll just try to breeze through them so we're not up so late. But uh,
Fellas, and I
Tazewell,
apologize. I'm a talker, dude. So I'm sorry. I'll
I'm the
sit here
same
and
way.
run off, dude.
I'm
Yeah,
the same way.
for me.
Tazewell at Riverheads this week, and
Carter Creasy.
yeah,
Give me Tazewell.
that's a big prediction there. I listened to that Yak podcast, and they were at the Riverheads game last week against I think it was Central Woodstock, and I
The
think Central.
Riverheads are like perennial dogs.
Yes.
That's a good football team. Give me Tazewell. I like the underdog. I think they got some pieces. Um, they don't find out real quick. I tell you that much.
Yeah, and I think that they had all off season to prepare for this game because it's their first game. They don't play week one,
Mhm.
and like you said, Creasy, heck of a quarterback. We've covered him now for a little bit. They got McDonald, I think, still out there. If I'm not mistaken. Um, I think that Tazewell they need to get over the hump eventually. I think last year they were right there, and then you had like the Union game and some of these bigger teams that they just couldn't get past. But eventually they're going to beat one of them, and I think that could be what catapults them into something greater. But I'm going to go with Riverheads. I think that they're going to slow it down. They've been that game against Central Woodstock last week, which evidently was a pretty big game. I'm going with Riverheads, but in a close one. But I do think Tazewell's going to have a good year this year. What about you, Jay Moore?
I mean, Riverhead's lost a stud of a running back from last year's team, but that's a system up there that just continues to turn out player after player. Um, if it was in Tazewell, I'd be a little more likely to, confident to maybe give him a nod. Um, Realistically, I think Riverheads wins, but because they're not from here, I'm gonna go with Tazewell be on the record for the Bulldogs.
Good man. Good man.
Go. Next one, and I don't know a whole lot about Middlesboro, but it's Gate City and Middlesboro. So I'm going to go with Gate City. Shout out to Walker Hillman out there. Heck of a running back for Gate City. And I
Mhm.
love the program out there. I love the social media team. Still the best social media team that I've seen in this area. I've got Gate City.
Matt McClung has bunnies for a white guy. Give me Gate City, man, for real. Shout out my dog, Keener Burke. He was my teammate up at Concord. He's now coaching for Gate City.
I got some friends that work at Gate City, so that's good enough for me. I don't know anything about Middlesboro, so I know Gate City's going in the right direction from the past few years. So give me the Blue Devils.
Another big one out this way: Ridgeview against Grundy. Um, should be a pretty good game. Well, you're gonna have some star power out there. Grundy's got Logan Lester. You all did a pretty good special on him there. A clip of some of his highlights. Heck of an athlete. Ridgeview, man. Ridgeview, from what I've heard, and tailgate talk, we've mentioned them earlier. I think they've got some connections to Ridgeview, and they said last year was kind of like their rebuilding year, but this year they're pretty comfortable in the system. You got the quarterback back, Ryan O'Quinn. I got Ridgeview. I think they're going to be a little bit too much for Grundy. Although I would love to see the Wave, make it a close one.
Hold up. Yeah.
Go ahead, Mar.
Give me the Wave.
Praise God, the Wave.
I want to. I mean, I would want to pick the county team. Winding down here in the last few years of the county, last couple of years of we're all going to be together, but too much Wolfpack. Shout out to Austin Rose, I think is a defensive end for the Wolfpack. Good friend of his mom's a good friend of my wife, so shout out to him. I think Review's just got a little too much this year. I want to see Grundy come and do well this year, and they may surprise people, but that's a tough start back to back with a 3A Carroll County and then going to 2A Ridgeview. But I believe Grundy will have a good year. I don't think it starts this week though.
Next one, Battle Bristol, Virginia High and John Battle out there. I think that that game's going to be a good game as far as a spectator, getting to see a little bit of some chirping and stuff back and forth. I think it's going to be intense. But I got Virginia High winning that one. They just had that close win against Patrick Henry, and Battle's coming off a pretty big loss against Abingdon.
Just to show some Region 2D love, man, give me Virginia High.
Yeah, I don't know anything about John Battle football. I'm not sure why. I mean, there's not like they're in our area, but I really couldn't tell you anything about them. That's kind of like a team that we don't really hear a lot about.
They're very quiet, man.
Yeah.
Very quiet.
Isn't Heath Miller the coach at Virginia High now?
No,
I don't think so.
Where's he the coach at? I actually read
He's
it
somewhere
earlier.
out near Charlottesville, I think.
Yeah, I can't
It's
remember.
Like somewhere out there.
I'd have to
Christian
look it up. I'll get
something
back
Christian.
to you. Yeah.
But yeah, I'll go with the Bearcats.
Bearcats, all right. Let's see here. We got Marion and Y Central. Marion's coming off a loss against Chilhowie. Y Central's coming off that very close loss against Eastside. Give me Y Central. I think they've been tested with Eastside. I know they lost, but that was a good game. So I got Y Central on that one.
I'll take Marion.
I don't really have a good reason for this one other than I think Eastside's a better team, a better opponent for week one. So give me Central.
Twin Springs against Unaka. I don't know too much about Unaka, but I do know they lost last week, 71-46 against Chucky Doke. I don't know who Chucky Doke is at the school, but giving up 71 points doesn't look too good. Shout out to Coach Warner from Twin Springs. Seems like he's they keep counting them out, keep saying that they keep losing players. They're going to struggle. I know it was Northwood, but I think they've got a good product to put on the field again this year. So I got Twin Springs in this one.
Brother, I have an uncle named Chucky Duck. Give me Twin Springs.
Yeah.
I got a whole slew of got family and nieces and nephews that live in Twin Springs right now. None of them will probably go to high school there. Well, it may, I don't know, but just in case somewhere down the line, give me the Titans.
Just in case.
Just in case. Thomas Walker versus Lee. Thomas Walker's coming off a win against Cumberland Gap. Lee's coming off that loss against Union. Quarterback from Lee, I think his name's Pendergraft. I apologize if I'm wrong. He's a stud. He didn't get showed off last week against Union. They were just too strong, but I have Lee in this game.
Yeah, man, I'm not too much sure about a paragraph, but I'll go ahead and take Lee.
Yeah, give me Lehigh.
So we got our school that we graduated from, Twin Valley, is playing against Montcalm next week. In high school, that was typically the game that we always thought, okay, we've lost every game, but we'll have
At least we're playing Montcalm.
That's it. But that all changed my junior year.
This is the different Montcalm era for real. It's nuts.
Oh, exactly. And that changed my junior year because they had two studs. I think it was Kraus, I think, and Bailey. I think they played there, if I'm not mistaken. Great players then. We were wrong about them then. They beat us. I think Montcalm wins this one too, as much as it pains me to say.
I remember scrimmaging Twin Valley. I think so. My senior year down there at Riverview in Bradshaw, West Virginia. They have purple, right?
Unfortunately,
Yeah.
Yep, I do recall that. You know what? I'll take the Montcalm Generals.
Get more.
There's a few reasons that I would never pick Montcalm. We'll not get into them, but the only reason I need to pick Twin Valley is never go against T-Gun. I'm gonna give me the Fighting Kriegers.
Heck yeah.
I respect it.
That's it. We just have a few more. The first annual Backwoods Brawl happened last week. Craig County won over Bland County. I just wanted to mention that. Coach Dowdy on X had shouted us out and had brought that up. And then we got Holston versus Narrows. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, that quarterback from Narrows that was so good might be graduated. I'm not sure.
No, so actually last year he got hurt in week 4.
Oh, okay.
So, the starting quarterback got hurt in week 4, and then the receiver, what's his name? I'm really good friends with his brother, Pruitt. He was the receiver, moved to quarterback. But up until week 4, Narrows was still 4-0, and then he went down.
Wow.
So then Pruitt stepped up to quarterback. He's back this year. I can confirm that he is the starting quarterback, and he put up some pretty good numbers. So by theory, Pruitt did graduate, but the starting quarterback week 1 last year was a completely different cat who is back this year. Give me Narrows.
Yeah, if that's the case, I'm going with Narrows. Even though I think Holston is looking better, they got that win last week against East Montgomery. They do have a few talented guys, but yeah, I'm going with Narrows as well, and that intrigues me for this year because I think Narrows and Honecker play again. And I think you was at that game, wasn't you, last year more? It was like 70-something, like 60-something.
This is the most absurd offensive game I've ever watched.
Yeah. Yep.
Who'd you say Narrows is playing?
It's Holston.
Holston? And they beat Eastmont last week? Give me Narrows.
Yeah.
You say Pruitt did graduate, right?
Yeah, no, Pruitt did.
That's the only thing I don't know about if they got their starter quarterback back, but Pruitt's gone.
With that starter, though, if I'm not mistaken, he had a lot of hype going into last year, right?
Yeah, but if Pruitt's not there for him to throw to, does he have a lot of weapons around still?
I'm pretty sure one of the receivers from last year was a junior.
That's enough.
So
give me Narrows.
That's enough.
The last one we have here is Rural Retreat versus Eastern Montgomery. Rural Retreat had, I think, 7 different players score touchdowns last week against Fort Chiswell. So I'm going to go with Rural Retreat again. They had close games with Honecker last year, and Honecker was loaded. So I don't know how much Rural Retreat lost, but I'm going to go with them this week.
Hey, shout out my dog for one, Tanner Bailey from down there at Fort Chiswell. I do know Rural Retreat is a good ball club. I know that Fort Chiswell and Narrows. Is it a rivalry or do they just play each other every now and then? But from what I've heard, it's a pretty thick thing. Give me a Rural Retreat.
Got more.
So, same thing here. Give me Rural Retreat. I think it is kind of a rivalry. I think they're close together. Maybe one's a bigger. Fort Chiswell's like a bigger, older brother, bigger school, maybe 2A or whatever. I think is how that works out. There was a guy that coaches on Travis's podcast, Cam. That was a basketball player. He was from Rural Retreat, I think, he talked about that maybe
For sure.
a little bit. That's the only reason I knew about that. But I'll take them.
Yeah. So that kind of concludes the games we had. But do you have any games, Fred, out your way that we haven't mentioned that going forward could be something to watch this week?
Oh man, you know, obviously Princeton and Bluefield's probably going to be game of the week, man. A battle of just Mercer County, going to be a good one. What? That Ram Day last game is going to be a banger.
Hey, before we get you off here, we ain't gonna go over all of them because we've kind of went pretty long tonight. But just the main one. Uh, who you got? Texas, Michigan this week.
Oh, bro, Michigan all day.
That's the game you're
Um,
going
I,
with.
Yeah, well, I mean that's the big one, ain't it?
It
What
shouldn't
one am I
be.
missing? What am I miss? What am I missing?
It'll be a blowout.
You think it's gonna be a blowout for who?
Horns all day.
Oh man, horns down.
what?
They're at the big house,
They're
man.
starting a 0-star quarterback or something crazy or whatever. I don't know. I don't think it'll be a game
Yeah,
myself.
I think the game will be won on the line of scrimmage. I think that Texas still hasn't. I mean, last week they didn't really get tested too much, but I think that they lost a lot there. The running back was hurt. I think that Michigan, although I admit against Fresno State didn't look the best, cost me some money because I need them to score 20 or win by 21. They won by 20. That's a side note. I think that they'll be up for this game, especially at home again. And just being able, hearing everybody talk about how great Texas is, and which I'm not saying they're going to be bad, but I think this is a good game for Michigan to kind of show that, hey, we're the
We're
defending
still them.
champs. Yep.
I think
Well,
you're
they
under it.
still have the best corner in the entire country.
Yeah, Will
Uh,
Johnson.
yeah, no,
Yep.
Johnson's a dog.
Yep.
They still got some pass rushers. They still got some. They still got some guys.
I think you're
Probably the
underestimating
best.
how much Harbaugh meant to that team.
No, I think he was great, but I think the culture and the system that he had in place, I think it's still there.
I'm not
And
saying it'll
Michigan,
be a blowout in the big house, but
yeah,
that if that's the biggest matchup this week, then college football is not going to be I'll be a good weekend of golf.
yeah. I
Brother,
mean,
I've had spoiled food from a gas station I like more than Texas, so maybe my view's a bit skewed.
No, I'm not necessarily a diehard Texas fan by no means. I mean, I don't know. I think maybe I'm just not a big Michigan guy.
Oh, buddy.
I don't not like Michigan, but um, I don't know. I don't know. I just don't have that feeling about them this year for some reason.
yeah, should be. I mean, it's a top 10 matchup, so that's why it's a premier game.
I'm just kidding.
Um,
I knew why it was. I knew why it was
yeah,
ranked. I didn't.
but there's plenty more we could go over, but yeah, we'll be here all night. But I do want to give Fred here an opportunity. I want you to tell everybody just where we can find you guys at, and just anything you want to say before you get off here.
For one, fellas, thanks for having me on. You know, this has been a blast. This is the first time I've been on the receiving end of what I've been blessed to do for the past year. I just want to thank everybody for their love and their support and their willingness to grow with us. Because obviously we aren't professionals by any means, and we don't, like I said, we don't get paid for this. This is just straight passion, you know. Just go follow us on Fresh Off the Clock on Facebook, Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, YouTube, TikTok, and just show us some love, man. And also to my folks, the Fresh Off the Clock Army comes hard. Please let's just go ahead and give these boys a push. Go give them a follow. There's some great guys, and they got something cooking too, man, for real. So yeah, y'all. I appreciate you giving me an hour and a half of y'all's time. Dude, I can sit in here and just talk for hours and hours and hours for real. I actually have a stutter, which is nuts. Like I've since I was a kid. I sell cars and I have a sports podcast. And I do want to say, bro, shout out to them kids down the road just fighting adversity in life. Excuse my French, that shit don't matter, man. For real, like statistics are just straight numbers. Don't be scared of nothing because at the end of the day, this is life. And if there's one thing I have been blessed to be able to learn from the men before me, and like I said, I am very blessed, and I do want to keep the Lord in front of everything because without Him, this is nothing, anyways. But just really just leap. There is no step too big. Don't overthink nothing. Just try it out, man. Like there is no shame. The biggest thing is in life, there is no template. You don't just grow up and someone's like, here, this is what you do. You have to figure this stuff out, and there's a lot of lows. But if you have the right people around you, even your lows to lows are still better than some people's highs. And that sucks to say because without comparison, there is no good, there is no bad. Because for someone to do bad means that someone else done better. For someone to do good means that someone else done worse. But really, just find your people and just be sure to have fun with them, y'all. And that's like podcasts are cool, man. Because at that point, and you might never get famous. I'll probably never get paid for doing this. It won't stop me because I love the relationships that I've been able to build through this. Thank you to my entire team. Everybody that I named at the very beginning, thank y'all. Y'all become brothers to me. And just the camaraderie. Like, obviously, we enjoy getting on here and talking sports, but also, whenever we done the Little Tony tournament, man, we all went and got breakfast and I just ate it up for real. So, yeah, just if I can pass anything along to the youth, really just take a step. Don't have no shame. You're going to hear people talk bad about you. That's part of what we do in life. And if you don't hear no one saying nothing bad about you, well, you need to take some more steps because someone always is whenever you're trying to live the life that you would want to live. And it don't come easy. You have to work. You have to grind. You just have to. Nothing's easy. Nothing's going to be handed to you. But for real, just lock in and do what you want to do and be sure to have fun. And you can't fail, bro. On some real shit, when I'm growing up off of Friday Night Lights, bro. Full heart, clear eyes. Can't lose. You can't lose. For real, y'all. And that's all I got to say. I'll turn this thing into a revival and start preaching for real. But just
You're good. You're good.
on some real stuff, y'all. Don't be scared of nothing. For real. I stutter. I have insecurities and everything. And I've gotten to where I am. Like I said, I'm extremely blessed. And that's something else too. Don't even get me started on that one. But you gotta pay respect to the good man upstairs because without him, this ain't even a thing for real. But just take steps. You never know how close you are until you start walking, and then you realize, man, it's not that far away. And then at that point, you walk faster. Then you start running, and then at that point, once you get here, well, you might as well go ahead and get there too. And then you just keep on going. Momentum. Catch it, find it, ride it, and just go for real. Just go.
And
Hey,
something.
go ahead.
Well, I think we're probably going to say the same thing. I think that Coach Moore, head coach from Richlands, he mentioned it on the podcast with Jay Moore just a few weeks ago. Who would have ever thought that me and Jamar would have ever done a podcast because we have guys that gave us a hard time for speech and stuff like that growing
Dude,
up, and to see us now, be here, it's kind of ironic in a way, but yeah, it's wild, man. It's a wild ride. Sorry, Moore, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, you're good. I was just going to say good luck to your birds Friday in Brazil.
Yeah, first game ever in Brazil, right?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's wild. Yeah, man, thank you so much. The energy you bring to your podcast. I mean, your whole team's amazing. But
Appreciate
we
it, appreciate
appreciate
it.
you bringing that energy over here with us. Yeah, like you said, we could sit here and talk all night, and that's just we gotta get up and stuff.
Oh, I
We got to
gotta
go to
stretch
the
my
next day,
legs.
but
Woo.
it was a great time. had a blast. I hope everybody that listens to this really enjoys it. I think we really put a lot of information out there for the kids and stuff. And then if you haven't followed them yet, go follow Fresh Off the Clock on all your social medias.
Road to 20K. And whenever we get to 20K, we're doing a giveaway. What it is, I don't even know yet. We'd have to pay for it, but it's okay. So please go give us a quick follow. We plan on growing. We plan on expanding. Like I said, man, we're just here to have fun. We're here to lift kids up. We're here to shine lights. You might not agree with us, but you can't hate us because what we're doing the right things for the right reasons, and at that point, we can't lose. For real.
Yeah.
Now, fellas, we end in my little group, my little family, for real. We end every phone call with a little to the moon, So let's hit a little to the moon.
There you go. More, before you get off, you want to say anything?
No, I just appreciate you coming on, man. Thanks for your time. We know it's valuable.
Anytime,
And we'll try to hit you up again later on down the road somewhere. Get you back on, talk a little ball. We appreciate it.
Hey, maybe we can get y'all on too, man. Listen, nothing's better than just because at this point now, podcasting has allowed me to meet some cool dudes from an area I haven't been, and now it's like it's all just networking. You just the relationships you build is beautiful. That's the best part of it, fellas. I appreciate your time. I'm gonna go smoke a cigarette. Y'all boys be easy, bruh.
I'm
Big
right
Fred
behind
out.
you.
Yep.
To
Thank you, man.
the moon. My girlfriend's gonna be pissed, but I told her this would be like 20 minutes. All right, fellas.
Oh wow, yeah, you gotta go. We appreciate it.
Thank you, man.
Always, bro.
All right, more.
Well,
Thank you.
I guess we'll do it again next week.
Yeah. I don't know if I'll be able to make it to a game Friday night or not. If I do, I'll put it out there. And is there anywhere you're going to go this weekend?
I may go to where was that? He said tomorrow night. Graham.
Yeah, Graham and Galax.
I may go tomorrow night. I don't know. It just depends. I probably end up not doing it. I had planned on going to a game Friday. I don't know if I'll go to. I don't want to drive all the way to Princeton, but by myself. But I may do that. If not, I may end up going to watch Lebanon and Patrick Henry. It seems like it might be one of the best matchups around the area. So it'll be one of those two, I would imagine. So
I can't remember. I didn't get to see, or I didn't write down if Grundy is at home against Ridgeview or not. That one might not be.
If it's at home, either way, I may go watch that one just because you don't get a lot of opportunities to watch either one of them. When there's other matchups going on, so I may take an opportunity this week to go to one of those.
Well, if either one of us is out at any of these games, if you see us, say hey. Next week we'll have another episode with some players and maybe a coach. I think we have some people that we are thinking about already, at least on the coaching side of things. So thank again anybody that's watched it up to this point. Thank you. Continue to share stuff. Like Jay Moore mentioned, we're not big on trying to get a whole lot of followers or anything like that. But on the flip side of it, it's getting these kids out there and getting them exposed. And we've got some great athletes in this area, and in my opinion, some of the best I think in the state. So just thank you for the support, and we'll be back next week. You got anything else more?
Y'all have a good one.
All right. God bless.